Power. Being in our power. Standing in alignment with our truth. Whether people agree or not. Regardless of the outcome. It's about speaking our truth. Unwaveringly. I did that for the past 20 months. He pleaded not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. And finally, I'm just like, I'm not moving. And he pleaded guilty and was sentenced yesterday. I was attached to the result that we were going to be all done yesterday, and there's going to be another restitution hearing in a week. So I didn't end up having to go through all of the being cross-examined yesterday. So a lot of energy to communicate didn't get out. And I'm still stunned how I don't get it. I just have this ridiculous optimism for humanity. I just have this maybe crazy enthusiasm that will I grow? Won't other people grow? No. Amazed, but I really shouldn't be amazed. How he's still blaming, condescending, unwilling to take responsibility, accountability. But that's who he was, and if he would have done the work, we would have still been in a relationship. And I just figured, because I did so much work in the last 20 months, and I was so proud of my speech. It was factual, it was honoring, it took the high road. I didn't do any passive-aggressive, throw him under the bus. But he did. But I can still look back and be proud of how I showed up and what I asked for and why. And so that's what I'm processing today, is some people just don't grow. Some people just won't evolve. Some people just won't take accountability and responsibility unless they're forced to, and not a millimeter more. And I think back to where I didn't want to take responsibility. When I was really little, I stole the cinnamon candies from the corner store, and my mom found out. She marched me back there, and I had to own it. I had to take responsibility. I had to make up for the damage done. I hated it. But it taught me a really great lesson, and I learned to do that. To sit in the fire, to feel my discomfort, to forgive myself, to clean up my messes, all that stuff. Some grown-ass adults still don't do that. And I'm not perfect or anything, but that is definitely a value and tenet I live by. And it allows me to sleep at night. And it allows me to love myself and forgive myself. And allows me to keep evolving and have graciousness with my clients. And so I'm going off this weekend. Not very thrilled with what happened in court. I'm grateful that it's guilty of criminal assault. Just another hearing. I just wanted it to be over. But I'm still proud. It's still a victory. I'm still grateful. I'm still very, very proud of myself. And I'm going into a VIP weekend with a gentleman who is of the evolved masculine, not the toxic masculine, who's willing to take responsibility, who's willing to evolve, who's willing to do the hard work, the really hard work for himself, for his family, for humanity. So I shall focus on supporting his evolution, and I will be grateful that there are men and women who grow and still continue to do my work of allowance when men and women don't, and continue to hurt each other, and learn to be okay with that. I don't like that. I don't prefer that. But that's why I get up every day and do what I do. For those of us that are willing to grow, are willing to evolve, are willing to do what's hard, so that we can do the right thing when no one's looking, and we can stand up in integrity with no regrets and love the shit out of ourselves. In the face of anything. In the face of anything we did in the past, we can still forgive ourselves and grow. That's who I'm hanging out with today. So I'm pretty damn grateful. If you've got something that you're just so fucking ashamed about, you just don't know how to get through it, forgive yourself, you know you're not present, you know you're spinning in your head, you know you're blaming and doing your passive-aggressive thing and trying so hard to look good, but you know that it's a losing battle, it's not sustainable, and you really just want to be free. You really just want to be with a counselor, a facilitator who will not judge you, who totally gets it, who will bow to your bravery, who will empower your evolution, and who will celebrate your courage and absolutely celebrate all the incredible shifts that will occur in your life, romantically, vocationally, financially, health, spiritual connection, all the things. Give me a call, because I would adore the honor of walking through the fire with you to the light. Yeah, I love you.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. Here we are in season 11, Soul Medicine, with a soul sister who I am so embarrassed. We've already met 5 years ago, but it was a different place and I didn't put it all together. But this is a return meeting in the month of, we're talking about self-love and forgiveness and finding your worth. So this gorgeous goddess, Petia Kolibova Burns, who just got married 2 years ago, this gorgeous goddess is an abundance and light activation coach who guides women to intuitively connect with their inner vision so they can experience personal and professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant. And her mission is to empower visionaries who are on the path to embody their fullest self-expression, to soulfully expand into a quantum leap in all directions of their lives. And she gives immense clarity and exact steps to unlock women's divine feminine and abundance mindset. And through subconscious work as a certified breath work facilitator, Reiki, NLP, and human design practitioner, she leads her 6- and 7-figure clients to their next level in life, in business. And if she's not interviewing fellow experts on her podcast, Unapologetically Abundant, she's traveling the world with her husband, hosting retreats or reading, and you will find her in nature, disconnecting from the world and connecting even deeper to herself. And before we got started, I was commenting on what lovely breasts she had, and it turns out she's 8 months pregnant. And so congratulations, almost. Is this your first baby?
First coming to the earth side. We were pregnant last year and we had a miscarriage with our twins. So
babe,
the first one who is joining us.
Wow. I'm so sorry. And thank you for being willing to share. A lot of people would just brush that under and just focus. So that's a really great maybe place to start, because self-worth, forgiveness, self-love, when babies come and then babies don't come all the way. If you'd be willing, how did you handle that, sweetie? My God.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. And like you said, some people, they will brush it off. And it's so fascinating because when we lost our babies, it was just such like, I want to say like unusual, like how it happened, because we got pregnant in May. In July, we had a miscarriage. But what I know is that I was pregnant with twins. Yeah. And the second baby was released a month and a half later.
Oh, wow.
So there was a lot of like time of like healing and reconnecting. And when you're starting to finally feel better, then you go through it again, so it was really hard. And I feel like you said, like this topic, it's so like perfect, the self-love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
There was a lot of doubts about myself. Like, what did I do wrong? What could I do differently? What's wrong with me? And I was depressed, and I didn't want to be adulting, and you're running business and you don't feel like showing up. So I was very thankful that I was able to ask for support from my husband, from my team, from my friends. I felt very loved and supported. However, it took me a few months to realign and see it a little bit differently. And I feel like so many women don't speak about this. One, it's so painful.
Sure. Yeah.
If you never experience this kind of loss, it's hard to explain, you know. So when I started to talk about it, when, I gave myself some space, and then I record a podcast, we recorded podcast with my husband, because I want to also see the miscarriage point of view from men's perspective.
Yeah.
So different, because I was very emotional. I felt it physically, emotionally. And my husband was the one who was holding space for me, but he was more like logical. And, like he told me, oh, we'll make another one. I was like, no, it doesn't work this way.
No. Oh my goodness.
He
Wow.
was trying to be like supportive. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, not this way. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's go even deeper there. God, you're amazing, sweetie. So here he wanted this sexy European with sexy boobs, sexy bum, and now you got the sexy belly. But he just wanted to fix it so you'd feel better. But it wasn't, you can't just replace something so quickly when you're in so much pain. How did you invite him to be what you needed and to set him up to win and to explain it and for him to receive it? How did that all go down?
And I feel like I am so thankful, because both me and my husband were coaches, and we
Yes.
really practice conscious conversations. We have like weekly relationship review when we like sit down, and we have like a set of questions. One of the most important is, what makes you want to pull away?
Oh, what a good one. I got to write that one down.
Because
Yeah.
when you think about it, and I feel like Tony Robbins said it before, if you treat the end of your relationship like the beginning, there will never be an end. That's something that I walk into this relationship with in my heart. And we both are very conscious about, like, when we started dating, it was challenging because we're both coaches. We are trying to fix each other. Let me help you. Let me tell you.
I've never done that with a lover, never. No.
Right. Yes. And then you're both frustrated. And so what we did, it's ask permission. Like, are you open for a feedback? Is this good time to talk right now? What do you need me to do? What do you need? Because sometimes as women, all we need is just a safe space to dump it all out, shake it up, and keep going. Men, masculine energy, they like to step in. You're talking too much. Let me stop it. Let me fix it. And we're all good.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not looking for fixing. Sometimes we're not looking for any answers. So, like, I was able to tell my husband, all I need right now for you is to hold me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I needed. I needed to cry. I needed to, I don't want to even say complain, but like, get it all out.
Let it out. Yeah. Yeah.
Let it all out. And
Received.
he said, like, hey, I will never understand how you're feeling, but I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's what I needed, because the thing is, when you're so emotional, and this doesn't apply, of course, only to loss or miscarriage, any kind of grief, but when you're emotionally shaken, you're not being yourself anyway. There is a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, or just a lot of things that you get to process. So you get to be really honest with yourself. How do you best process the things? For my husband, the way he best processes the things is to go work out, or go to the, like, go for a run, or be alone in his cave, for a little bit. He needs to like process things, and then we can go sit and talk. For me, if something happens, I gotta talk about it, clear it out.
Yeah.
I had to have these conversations, and also about timing when to talk. Because what I used to do when we started, dating, we would go somewhere in a car, let's say dinner with a friends, or we are driving somewhere, and I would just dump something on my husband, and like tell him something, and he would feel trapped. Oh, because I didn't give him like opportunity to, I never asked, like, hey, is this good time? I'm like, hey, like, I'm frustrated about this, or this is happening, blah, blah, blah. And it was, I don't want to say like disrespectful, but just not considering in what do I need and what does he need, So I feel like creating these conscious conversations with your partner, it's everything.
Oh, wow. This is great that you have these skills to navigate and that you're such a quick study because you're willing to own it and shift and then create something new. How did you shift from what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me to a place of acceptance? How did you get there?
Such a great question, shifting from feeling like a guilt and shame that I wasn't able to hold on,
Yeah.
the pregnancy.
Yeah.
We will never know what happened. Like I had a session with psychic medium, so that's a different, but on like a doctor physical level, we will never know.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I know it sounds like a cliche, but I truly feel like, one, it's a time. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot try to like, okay, it's done and I'm good. Like, however much time do you need? And then when you're in a place that you're not blinded by the emotions, when that's all you can like do,
Yep.
ask yourself, what do I need right now? So what I did, I wanted to be taken care of. I wanted to reconnect to my womb. I wanted to look at my body in a loving, respectful way again,
Yeah.
not like it failed me.
Right.
So
Right.
I did a beautiful womb session, like beautiful womb healing session with sound bath healing, with Reiki, with Kundalini. I visited in California, womb healer. I did some massages, because we used to live in Mexico for over a year. So
Uh-huh.
we were working with a midwife there. So it was really about asking myself, like, where am I and what do I need? And what will like bring me back into that softness?
Yeah.
Because when something challenging happens, we
Mm.
usually harden.
Yep.
We build our walls up and we are
Yep.
like, okay, I don't have a time to deal with this or whatever.
Mm.
But when you can go back and when you can soften and really ask yourself, like, what do I need right now? And release the guilt, because I'm a business owner, I have a team, I have a client, and
Yeah.
goodness, that I have a team who is like a family, and I have a clients who they were like, hey, let me know, what can I do? Let me know, like, how can I help? I was like, oh my goodness, these are the women who are like, pay me thousands of dollars, and they're
Yeah.
like, I am here, whatever you need, like, don't
Wow.
out me. And it was just so beautiful to be able
Mm.
to soften and relax and just go through all the stages of the grief. I definitely like felt the different stages of like, being angry and not even
Yeah.
like believing it, and then
Yeah.
just
Denial.
complete meltdowns, denial. So
Mm.
I feel like it all, like, for us, especially as women, we gotta know when to soften and
Mhm.
when to like stand up.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I went through some different kinds of hardship, but I really had it that my clients, I don't know, like I loved them more than they loved me and my staff. I know they are a part of the team, but they probably just enjoy the paycheck. I mean, I'm sure they like me, but they probably don't love me. And I was wrong. And it really showed me that I had a lower self-worth than I thought I did. I thought they liked me for what I could do, not who I was in my heart, my soul, my essence. And it was a wonderful wake-up call to know when I really needed to be on the receiving end, not the giving end. They cared about me. It was so beautiful. So how did that reflection of your worth help you deepen your self-worth so that you could be, I guess, in allowance of the unspeakable and be able to move forward and conceive and go through pregnancy again?
I feel like this is something that I've worked, like the self-worth, years ago, because I always felt unworthy, unlovable. For most of my life, for the first
Mm.
3 decades of my life, I was feeling that I'm just a waste of space. Like, who cares if I'm here or not?
Whoa.
My mom, she had me when she was 17 by accident, if I would believe in accidents.
Mm. Mm.
And when I was 18, I attempted for suicide, and I was like in and
Wow.
out of toxic relationship, harming myself, almost 2 decades of eating disorder. And it's
Wow.
because I didn't see myself as worthy.
Yeah.
I always thought, like you said, like, what can I do for others so I feel worthy and
Yeah.
deserving of receiving or even just being here?
Yeah.
And, you know, when I was almost 30, it started to shift because I was getting into this dark place of, it was, I feel like a different kind of like dark depression, because
Mm.
when I was young, I felt like unworthy and trapped. When I was almost 30, I was feeling like everything on the outside looked great. Like back then, I was married.
Uh-huh.
I was in a corporate. I had started my business. I was doing fitness competitions and competing on stages with like the
Wow.
like perfect body, you know, quoting.
Okay.
So on the outside, everything looked great. On the
Yeah.
inside, I was dying. I was battling with eating disorder. My ex-husband was narcissistic, cheating on
Yeah.
me.
Oh,
It was just so isolating. But everyone would look at me and was like, "Oh, you and your husband, you're such a perfect couple. You look so great. You have such a great job." And I felt guilty. Because, you know, on the outside, it all looks great. So I'm like, something is wrong with me because I should be grateful.
and
You know, like we're
yeah.
shooting ourselves all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I should be happy, and I wasn't. And that was the time when I'm like, something really has to change. And I started to, and this is over a decade ago, you know, when I started to look like how to be happy, how to overcome eating disorder, how to overcome suicidal thoughts. And
Yeah.
now it's so much easier, Allana. You know it. Like we have so many beautiful podcasts like yours. We have Instagram, we have blog posts, like all of these things. It's so much easier than, you know, over a decade ago. But back then, thankfully, I found Louise Hay. And she was the one who started my self-love journey.
So
Because
good.
I never thought about it before. So she kind of activated something in me that when I looked at her and I started to look at others like her, and then Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza, Gabby Bernstein, all these people, they were going through, like went through big hardships.
Yep.
And now they're impacting millions of people. And they gave me what I needed the most back then, hope. Life can get better. I
Yeah.
can feel worthy. I can feel deserving. So
Yeah.
I started that, you know, personal development and starting to work on myself. And then, you know, I had social media marketing management business. Then I shifted into coaching for women. And it's something that I see in so many women who come to me. They don't feel worthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I feel like it's such a foundation to work on this.
Yeah. Thank you. I had, if this was my worth over here and these were my accomplishments over here, I had them collapsed.
Yeah.
And so if I could, you know, I graduated cum laude and an Ivy League school, and how many books and how much money and the men and the body and all the, and yeah. And it was like a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And I just kept running and I could never get there, because once I got there, I had to maintain it, keep it, or have more of it. And it was just exhausting. And until the rug just got ripped out from under me and I had to slow down, or I didn't have to, I was forced to slow down and really face and feel and have a look at, wow, I call it like the sliver. Like, okay, maybe 98% is good, but there's this sliver where I still think my worth is based on what others think of me. And I couldn't just rest all on my own. And when I did rest on my own, I was spinning too fast inside, too scared. So I would just get back onto the hamster wheel. But thank goodness that I keep doing the work, and I probably will always keep doing the work. Never get there. But I feel off the hamster wheel. And it took the scariest thing. Like, what if I lost everything? Would anybody be there? And the ones who were riding my coattails, who actually didn't care about me, the soul, the essence, they're gone. And the ones who do care about me are here. And what's really wild, and I want to hear your love story of how you guys, you know, met and fell in love. But I've had 2 divorces, and since I saw you, the last relationship was physically abusive
for the first time in my life. So things got worse when I didn't get to the root cause. Even though I was still doing lots of work, when I didn't get to the root cause, what we resist persists, and it got worse. And that was a wonderfully intense, but wonderful wake-up call to go, okay, where's this blind spot that I can't find, that I'm actually enough, even if nobody knows who I was. And I even did this visualization where I saw myself on this outer on deck chair, Newfoundland for some reason. I don't know why. I'm Canadian, but and I just saw myself taking my last breath, and nobody knew who I was, and nobody cared. And there was no big funeral. I just withered away. But I faced that moment, and I was enough inside. I felt home with myself, where I didn't need anyone or anything or any circumstance. And I was one with myself, one with the earth, one with the divine. And it was very calm and very quiet. And it seemed like I had to go through that and just be with myself. And now everything's bonus. If somebody thinks I'm cool, that's great. If they don't, fine. If I do another book, great. If I don't, great. If I make lots of money or I don't, great. If I end up meeting somebody, great. I just needed to face, I guess, my worst case scenario and be able to stay connected to me. And I did it. And I cried. But it was a real beautiful homecoming that I am that I am. So how would you say, what was one of the most powerful exercises you did to know that you're enough? Even with the miscarriage, even with the narcissistic, even with the eating disorder, like, I am that I am.
Such a beautiful story, Allana. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I feel like I remember when we met, you were going through a hardship in relationship, and I feel like you moved somewhere, like you were moving to some like more like a nature isolated place.
Yeah. You have a good memory, honey. I lived in Wyoming on these 15 acres with 9 horses for about a year and a half while I went through some really deep healing. And I've since left there. And now I'm in North Carolina for the summer, and there's fireflies, and I'm very happy.
That's beautiful. I'm like, I remember,
Yeah, good memory, honey.
It's such a beautiful story. And I love that you shared it. Like, you had to like face the worst case scenario, because this is sometimes what I tell my clients, like, you got to be radically honest with yourself. What is the best? What is the realistic? What is the worst case scenario? And if the worst case scenario happens, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Because if not, you can like pivot, you can change. That's okay. But if you're okay with that, then we usually make it even worse in our heads anyway, like overthinking and overanalyzing. And for me, I feel like a couple things that had to happen for me. One, I really had to look at my beliefs. I really had to look at the results that I'm getting, because my partners were physically, mentally abusive. As my stepfather was. I was going to familiar, and I would just do anything and everything just to be in relationship.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, whenever, whatever you need, like, I'll do it just so like I'm in relationship. I felt like that's such a status, to be in relationship.
Wow.
And like you said, like outsourcing the worthiness.
Yeah.
Outsourcing it to others. I did it my whole life, depending on how I look, what job I have, what relationship I'm in. And then I got really sick and tired. Over and over the same thing.
Yeah.
My partner's cheating on me, like I got divorced. I knew my ex-husband for 17 years. We didn't date it for 17 years. We dated when I was like 13, like that was such a little love. Then we got reconnected when I was like 18. And so, we started to see each other. Then I moved to Spain, and then I moved to United States, and I moved him here with me. Because I wanted like kindred soul. I wanted somebody who gets me and understands me. And 3 days before wedding, I had my intuition was just screaming at me, because he was being like mean and moody. And I was sitting in a car with him. I was like, do I really want to do this? But I felt like I have no other choice. We already planned a wedding. He's already here.
Everybody's here. Yeah.
Right. So I did it, and it's just like not listening to my intuition over and over again. We got divorced, like a few years later. Then I was in another relationship for almost 5 years. And 3 years in, I find out, 4 years in, I find out that he cheated on me for 3 years out of the four, because I received a very detailed email from the lady.
Wow.
The most fascinating, and like, of course, it broke my heart, but I'm happy it happened, because the day they met, we were in a club with my ex-boyfriend visiting his friend, and he was talking to her, and suddenly I had this wave of sadness and I started to cry. And I'm not jealous type who like, you cannot do whatever you want to do, just don't do what you don't want me to do, was always like my motto. But that night I was emotional and I was crying, and my ex-boyfriend was like mad at me, like, what are you doing? Like, I would never like do anything. That was the night when they met. Then they
So
were,
to trust our body, to trust
yes,
our intuition, to trust our emotions. Yeah.
people will call you crazy, but your body knows, your intuition knows.
Yeah.
So for me, like, even my intuition before I got married was like, oh, this is not a good idea. And I'm like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, like putting
Sure.
it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really had to, Alana, look at the results that I was getting in my life, what type of a man I was attracting, what type of work I was attracting, what
Yeah.
type of clients I was attracting. I felt so unworthy with my clients too. I was hustling, working hard. When I started my social media management company, I was charging like $200 to manage their account, working my booty off, and then like I 10 times my prices later on. But the start,
Yeah.
how you're seeing yourself is going to reflect in all of the other areas. So looking at what results I was getting in my life, well, if I'm getting this, what am I believing? What am I doing? How am I feeling? I had to just really sit down, because we numb ourselves, whether it's alcohol or food or shopping or relationships.
Or being a workaholic, any of it. Yeah.
Exactly. There's just so many ways you can numb yourself. But when you can really sit down and look at your life and being honest with yourself, you do this for you, not for anyone else.
Yeah.
But where can you do that? That's when I started to like, oh, I see how I was acting and what I was doing and what I was saying. And I'm like, I'm not going to do this ever again.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided I would rather be alone than being in bad company.
Good job.
I was a few months alone, and I'm like, I became the best lover I ever had. Literally.
So
I
good.
was wearing like sexy lingerie. I was like, around the house, living with my dog alone, make myself nice dinner with candles, take a bath, buy myself flowers, take myself out for a dinner, and I didn't feel awkward. I was like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Overthink. I was like, no one cares. So I became the best lover I ever had. And then I'm like, this is actually kind of good, But then I got to the point, Alana, that it was like, wouldn't it be fun to share this? Like when you go on hikes, when you go on, trips, I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to have someone I feel like I was missing coming back home to someone. I'm very nurturing. I love cooking, taking, like care of others, but from a place of fulfillment, not because I want to do it so you love me,
Right.
I'm tired, my husband will make himself a cereal for lunch. I was like, you're my dream man. So so I started to journal, about like my dream man, and I was writing it, like what I had to also do. And I want to share this because this is important step. Before I started to manifest who is now my husband, I had to do a lot of forgiveness work. For my mother, because I saw her being in toxic relationship and don't do anything about that. And then for my ex-boyfriends. So I created like a forgiveness framework, because I know you heard about it, like write a forgiveness letter, burn it. I did it a million times. It never did anything for me. I was still angry and frustrated. But what I did in this forgiveness framework was I started with a celebration. I started with why they're good, why they were good, because you don't date someone or you don't allow, especially as women, someone get very close to you if there is completely nothing. Why would you do that? Even if it's look, even if it's the way he talks, even if his work, there is something.
Yeah.
So I started to write this about like celebrating, and then I said, and you are not the one because you're not the one because the one who is for me is loyal, is family oriented, it's entrepreneurial, it's healthy, treats me like the only one. That was so important to me. I want to be treated like the queen and like the only one.
Yeah.
So I did the forgiveness framework for my exes, and then it gave me the foundation for what do I truly desire, because I realized, what do I want in my one? So I took that part and started to journal. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm in a loving, loyal, fun, adventurous relationship where we grow together. And I was on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I was journaling like that, Anna, for like a couple months. And then, you know, we get back in our head. I'm like, this is not even possible. Like, how can you find this in one man, one person? This is too, am I asking too much? I started doubting.
Yes.
The day I started doubting, I was driving. I stopped in a red light, look at my phone, because I was like, you know, you're standing there. What do you do? Guys don't do that. But I was like scrolling through my Facebook. And when I opened it, I saw a post from a lady who is a local coach here in Las Vegas. And she said, don't ever settle. And there was a picture of her and her current husband. And she said, if I would have said that, I would never meet my husband. I was thinking I'm asking for too much.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, oh my God, like it was such a message for me.
Yeah.
Exactly how I was feeling. I was like, okay, so this is going to work out. I know it's possible. 2 weeks later, I met my husband, who is now my husband, you know.
Yeah.
We met at the mastermind here in Las Vegas. And he treats me every single day like the queen. Every single day, he surprises me. You know, he leaves me like a beautiful notes on a mirror, or like even in a protein powder, like can, you know, like to surprise me. Or
that's adorable.
it is, and it's so beautiful because, listen, no one is perfect.
Yeah.
But we fully align with our core values and how we see life.
Yeah.
And we keep growing together because people change and you get to know what is non-negotiable for you.
Yes. Yeah. It's like you came into alignment and fell madly in love with yourself. And you wobbled for a second. Oh, is it really possible? But you came back into alignment again. And then isn't it amazing how you attracted someone whose core values are in alignment? Because alignment attracts alignment.
Yes.
And I love that you were willing to go through all the phases, the forgiveness that really works, and the alone time that really works, and listening to the omens and signs from the universe, even though you shouldn't be on your phone in your car, we will forgive you. It was at a red light, it's all good. I'm really curious how the dating process went in terms of, when did you move in? How did you know to move in? And then how did you now most recently say, it's time to get pregnant again? So kind of to come full circle from your own next level of self-forgiveness and self-worth. Yeah.
I love that question. And I feel like it's just like, I feel like everything I'm doing, it's like so unusual. Because we met with my husband, Christopher, at the network, like it was a mastermind here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I lived in Vegas and he lived in California.
Yeah.
And so we did like a long distance for a little bit. But the way we met, like the story, it's so powerful because we met at the mastermind event. Everyone was at the lunch, and that morning I was teaching guided meditation for a group. So I felt like zen out, and I'm like, okay, I'll just go there later, just because I promised I will go there, you know. So I get there, there were only 3 people in the room. He was one of them, and we start talking and joking, and I felt like that was the first time in my life that I was with a man and I was fully myself.
Oh, nice.
You know, like you care, but you don't care that much.
Yeah.
And it was so freeing just to like enjoy the time together. And then in the evening, everyone went to, here in Vegas, the main street, it's called Strip. So everyone went to Strip, to like exclusive restaurant. And I'm like, I'm tired. I don't feel like more people. I'm like, do you want to go grab a drink? So we went, you know, now we are like, we don't drink alcohol at home, you know, for over 4 years now. But back then, like we were like, we had like a charcuterie board and we had like a wine and he had the beer and we were talking, and I did guided meditation on him, healing an inner child.
Oh,
and he got like emotional.
right. Having your drink. You did this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Love
On
it.
the bar. I'm just,
No, no, you're being you. This is good to know. Yeah. You're being you. You're like, let me just take you through a guided meditation.
Yep. So we went through that. And then I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and I come back and he was talking with some like really tall guy. And then his wife walks in with a boy, maybe like 10, 11 years old, playing like, you know, games. And his wife, parents were from Czech Republic, where I'm from.
Yeah. Yeah.
This guy on the bar he was talking to, you know, he looked like his dad. And this little boy looked exactly like him, because Christopher, when he was growing up, he used to play video games, didn't care about the world. So Christopher was able to talk to this boy, but it was like reconnecting to his inner child.
Yeah. Oh, which you just did.
Yes.
So you just did the guided meditation. Yeah. He had an embodied experience talking to himself in as a little kid.
Yes.
Okay, keep going. Yeah. Yes. And then the check part. All the things coming together.
You cannot make this up, you know.
No.
So it was very powerful. And then we ended up the night, and he was like, okay, I'll just, you know, drive back home to California. And then he walked me, because we valet our car. He walks me to my car, you know, First they bring his car, you know, we hug, he leaves, and then they're bringing my car. And from a corner of my eye, I see like he stopped on a stop sign there, going out from the hotel. He's running back to me. He hugs me and kisses me. It was like a movie. Wow. And I'm like, this guy is either romantic or completely nuts.
Yes, exactly.
But ever since we're together, and
wow.
We were both working on our businesses. So he came every couple of weeks. I came every couple of weeks. We were, you know, like on a call all the time. We had to have a conversation about, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with human design.
Yes.
You know, like also understanding each other through human design, that I started to study 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He's a manifesting generator, and he had to learn to inform, because sometimes he's like so in the zone that he forgets about everything and everyone, and works. I told him, you can do whatever you want, just tell me, because there were days that like we had rituals of like, he texts me every time in the morning, because he wakes up early and I wake up to the text, and then sometimes it didn't happen and I don't hear from him all day, and you're like, did something happen? You're in your head, right? I'm like, listen, do whatever you want, just tell me like, hey, I have a full work day, I'll talk to you when I can. Great.
Yes, just let me know.
Conversations were happening like since the very beginning, you know.
Wow.
So,
yeah. This is so great. I can just see him running.
Yep. Yeah. I'm like, this guy, I'm like, is he like too much? What is this? You know? So it was just beautiful, because I feel like ever since the beginning, we were really honest with each other and just respected each other as we are. And we keep evolving and growing, you know? So we were like visiting each other all the time. And then we started dating in February, and the next year in February, he moved in, you know, he just like came for a weekend, then he stayed. So
okay.
And so that was that. And then we lived in the same house for 3 years together. I was in that house for 7 years. But then our landlord messaged us that her mom is coming from Asia and she needs the house for her to live there.
So it's time to move on.
Yes, we have to move on. I was like, what are we going? Because it was in the middle of the pandemic. So the houses were like triple the price, and just not good time to like move or go somewhere. So we're like, well, why don't we travel? Why don't we explore? So we moved to Mexico for 14 months.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
This is a great story so that it doesn't have to look traditional, but you're following your truth. You're being your authentic self. You're holding nothing back and you're in it together as partners.
Yes.
And so if we come all the way, this has been such a beautiful conversation, full circle with self-love, self-forgiveness, and self-worth. When and how did you decide to try again, to get pregnant? Was it did it just happen? Did you consciously intend?
It's very interesting. And I want to share like the whole story because I think it's very important.
Yeah.
When we started dating, and I feel like it was on the event that I met you actually, Allana, because I'm recalling,
Wow.
Like when we were in the hotel, there was just the beginning of our like relationship when we start dating, and I came to like support him. We were talking like just like, future and stuff like that. And he said like, if you get pregnant now, I would want you to have an abortion.
Oh.
And that was like, I'm like, oh, what? And back then I was 34.
Okay.
And he was like, because if we don't agree on this, like I can do this. I'm not ready to be father. I'm not ready,
Yeah.
And that was very hard conversation.
Yeah.
I was very like happy that he was so self-aware and conscious, about how he wants to live life. He was like, I want a kids, but not now.
Yeah.
So I had to either agree that we would do that or we wouldn't be together.
Wow.
We had to have that conversation. So we did. And I'm like, okay, but it was very emotional for me because I was like battling. I was like, when you're 34, 35, you don't do that,
No. Yeah.
want to have a baby. So, but I did agree. And then 3 years later, because I was on a birth control most of my life because I didn't know what I know now.
Yeah.
And then we decided that I will stop the birth control. We started to work with fertility doctor, not because we had any fertility challenges, but we want to cleanse our body, get ready. So we had to give ourselves 1 full year, which we did. And then we did like a spiritual circle and open up the portal for our baby to come in. We did that in April. And then in May, I got pregnant.
Yeah.
And that was our first pregnancy. We still lived in Mexico. We came here for summer back to United States to sit house for our best friend. And, like the story, July and September, we lost our babies.
Yeah.
And so from September till like October, I was like really working through my grief and everything. Like when you think about it, since July.
Yeah.
So since July to like October, and then we chose to come back to United States. We got a house. We came here. We love our home we got. We are so in love with it, like perfect place for us, settled down. And we came here like, I think around November 28, I got pregnant with our baby girl.
Oh, wow. And where are you? Where in the States are you?
In Las Vegas, Nevada.
In Las Vegas again. You came back. You got it. Wow. And there's a girl.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I am so grateful for this conversation about the deep stuff, the real stuff, the self-love, the self-forgiveness, the self-worth, and that no matter what we've gone through, we can learn from that, grow from that. We can make new choices. We can let go. We can have an unconventional way it all unfolds, and just keep going. And just keep going with our heart open. I'm so inspired. I'm so happy for you. And a beautiful little girl is going to be here soon. And birth can be easy. Just so you know, mine was 7 minutes. No drugs. Yeah, no drugs, no ripping. I was eating an In-N-Out burger. It was. Yeah. So it may be easy peasy.
I'm planning for it. So please send me those vibes. That's what we are planning. We're planning for home birth, water birth. We're working with an amazing midwife and doula.
Lovely.
My husband, we did classes for hypnobirthing.
That's what I did. Hypnobirthing.
Girl.
Mommy and baby are one. It's a surge, not a contraction. So he was
Oh.
literally transitioned while I was eating an In-N-Out burger. Yeah. Yeah. All I had to do was push 5 times and we were there.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
Great choice. Because that's exactly what I did. Because it invites you to face all your fears ahead of time.
Yes.
So that when you're actually in the moment, you're surrendered and mommy and baby are one. So I loved it.
You're amazing.
Oh, thanks, honey.
7 minutes. 7. It's my life path number. So I'm taking it as a beautiful.
Okay. And also trust your body, because I was sitting on the ball, eating my In-N-Out, talking with my friends. And then it was time to give birth. And the nurse, I don't know where the hell the doctor was, but she's like, go on your back. I'm like, no, my body, I knew I wanted to be on my side. And so I gave birth on my side, and it turns out the cord was around his head. And that was the best way for him to have the most oxygen before the doctor took that off. So whatever you want to do, you just trust your body, just like you did all at the beginning of this conversation. Trust your emotions, trust your instincts, trust your intuition, trust your body, because it'll be a beautiful experience. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I needed to hear it as it's coming closer, So
yeah, I know. You're welcome. And shave your legs way earlier than you think, because mine was 2 weeks early. And my legs were hairy and ugly, and I was a little embarrassed about that, but whatever.
I did, thank goodness, like many years ago, I did, what do you call it? The laser hair removal. So thank God for that. Good, because there's no way you can see anything under the belly.
I know, you can't reach, you can't see. So yeah, out of mind, out of sight, whatever, it's fine. Oh, well, I would like everyone to follow you on Instagram. We'll put that in the show notes. You can also find her on YouTube and Facebook as well, but probably Instagram would be great. And we are all just sending you and Christopher so much love and blessings for this beautiful baby. And thank you also to the 2 spirits who came before, who cracked your heart open to give and receive even more love. And thank you for being so brave to speak with me so honestly and vulnerably, because that's what this show is about. Anything that we normally push away or is taboo or too vulnerable, no, it's about being real and connected to ourselves and connected to one another. So thank you, sister, so much for being on Intimate Conversations. And all of you watching or listening, I'm sure there were many moments in this conversation, something that touched you, moved you, maybe brought you to tears, maybe inspired you. I'd like you to take an action at the end of this podcast. So just maybe go for a walk, get your journal out, and allow this conversation to have moved the dial on your life. So it'll never be the same again, because you took the time to be, cocooned by the 2 of us sisters on your beautiful life journey. Thank you for spending this time with us, and the honor of being able to love the shit out of you every week here on Intimate Conversations. Thank you so much, sister. All my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
I loved telling my birth story to Petia so that she would know there's other ways to have babies. I don't tell it to a lot of people, because those who have had really long, awful births, we could go into a whole podcast about that. But I'm really, really grateful to give her that possibility that when the contraction happens, let's not call it that, let's call it a surge, and then visualize mommy and baby as one, and the body just doing this, bringing the baby down, and telling her the story of how I was eating the In-N-Out burger, and 5 pushes later, there was Gabriel. And so that she can have that beautiful possibility and then let it go. And I think in life, that's how we all need to go for it, right? Like, show up, let go of resistance, be in total allowance, let go of the outcome, and go through whatever the universe wants us to go through. Surrender to divine will, right? So I'm surrounding her with so much love and ease and oneness with our beautiful bodies, how they know what they're doing, if we would surrender to them, if we would honor them. And that's also what I love about the PSI work that I'm doing, being trained in, is trust body, trust body. I think I've over used my mind. I got a good one. Or I've overused my will because I'm resilient. Or I've overused my I can go out into tier 2, tier 3, and I'm one with everything. And I love that place, but when I come back into my body, can I stay present? Can I not be triggered? Can I take those steps one foot in front of the other, even if I'm scared, even if it's a risk, and know and trust and hear my truth? Like, that's body work. So I love being able to integrate people's traumas, triggers, anything, so that they can actually hear themselves, trust themselves. I mean, when you go through life and you can't trust yourself, it's freaking terrifying. But when you can hear down in your hips that you know what you know, and you can have that also, that sense of I'm enough, not like a thought, but like a beingness. I'm actually enough. Everything's enough. Then we make different decisions. We don't need something out on the outside in order to be okay on the inside, because we're already okay on the inside. So I'm just sending Petia so many blessings for this beautiful baby, beautiful birth, beautiful family. And please follow her. Please interact with all the wonderful offerings that she has. She's a good woman, a grounded woman, a real woman, a goddess, if you ask me. And thank you for being with us every single week here on Intimate Conversations. Yeah, thank you for the honor of loving the shit out of you. P.S. I want to also give a shout out to Magic Mind, that I believe my cool-headedness, my focused energy, my gratitude and being proud of myself has to do with how that is my ritual every single morning. And this morning, as I go into leading my VIP for the weekend, same thing. That's how I start my morning. And now I've added walking, grounding on the wet grass. It's all misty, so I'm grounding, got my magic mind, and I'm focusing on how I could be a contribution. So I encourage you. We'll put the coupon code so that you can get a discount for a subscription or a one-time purchase. And I personally like it with ginger, cinnamon, and hot water. But it also apparently is very good cold and chilled. That's not how I like to do it. But yeah, I'm really, really grateful to support my body and my being in being my best self. So check it out.